What's happening, everybody? Happy Friday, and for a little bit of Friday fun, I want to talk about Iron Man #1. That's right, Tony Stark is back. So this video will be part review and part discussion, but first to jump into a synopsis, a bit of rundown of this issue. So the idea of this debut issue is, or this series, is a back to basics approach. Now what does that mean? Typically that just involves scaling back and kind of breaking down a character. Maybe they've just been too involved with certain things, or just life has just become too complicated in comics. Like maybe there's just been a whole lot of shit going on. It's like, all right, there's too much going on. Let's bring it back, too complex, and let's scale it back. So for Tony Stark, that involves getting rid of a bunch of his armors. So he has Rhodey just pack up all of it. He's like, are you serious? Yes, pack it all away. We're done. And that leaves a debut of a new armor, which was designed by Alex Ross. So this is a bit of a mix between kind of a retro and modern take. It looks, to me, I feel the influence more from his original, well, not the original armor, but the original red and gold armor, as well as the Bleeding Edge armor, which the Bleeding Edge is absolutely the best. Seriously, I mean, there's absolutely no debate. That is my favorite Iron Man armor. It just looks absolutely clean. Let me know in the comments below your favorite Iron Man armor. But, so it's got this new armor, this combination armor, which I think is cool. You're talking about bringing a back to basics approach. Like, all right, this is a good way to do it. Let's scale it back, get rid of all his armors, and you have this new armor here. So we have Tony Stark, there's no armor, and kind of feels like he's going through a midlife crisis. He appears to be lost. I don't know what he's been up to in his previous series. I haven't read Iron Man in a couple years now. In the last series that I read, I didn't like it at all. I didn't like the armor involved, and just everything about it. Just like, all right, it just didn't leave a lasting impact on me. But here he is. So all right, we're back in this. We got new creative team. Let's jump right in. So we got Christopher Cantwell writing it, who's also wrote Doctor Doom, which I talked about. I like CALFU, which I found out stands for Carlos Alberto Fernandez Urbano, Frank D'Armata, and VC's Joe Caramagna. So that's our creative team for this issue, and for who knows how long. We'll see how that goes. But we have Tony Stark, and he's kind of going through this. So again, it feels like midlife crisis because, all right, he's out, he's buying a new car, and he's like, all right, trying to nail down the perfect car that just kind of strikes a chord with him. So he runs through a few models, and then like he doesn't find. Then he finds like, all right, you know what, that's it. And he's supposed to be going on a kind of a road trip with Glory Grant, and she's gonna do a profile on him, which she says she's gonna turn into a book. So he kind of goes, they're driving, and he ends up losing control of the car, crashes a little bit, and talks about how, all right, maybe I should just drop you off at the airport so they're in LA. So then he moves to New York. And first thing, like, he buys this kind of, I don't even know what maybe like a loft, whatever. He's talking about, is he a New Yorker yet? He's all on Twitter. And the issue actually opens up with a fight with Terrax. So he's fighting out of a store. He fights Terrax into space, shoots him into the satellite, destroys the satellite, and that knocks out internet and cable for a bunch of people. So it brings back to Twitter, and like that's one thing. That and the fight with Terrax, which seemingly has no roots whatsoever, at least with the issue, I mean. So those 2 points of discussion I want to get to later in the video. Fight with Terrax is villain popping up out of nowhere, and social media and comics. So we're gonna get back to those later. So he fights that, and then as again, he's in New York, and he's talking about, is he a New Yorker yet? And people are just absolutely filleting him on Twitter, like just absolute savage. If you just any familiarity with Twitter, it's legit. Like people are just absolutely savage. That's just the life on the internet, especially for a public figure. Anything you do is gonna get put under a microscope, and you're just gonna get destroyed because people just give absolutely no fucks on the internet, especially on Twitter. People are absolutely savage. So he's in New York, he has his new car, he goes out for basically like a street race, like, all right, let me get my Fast and Furious on, and he loses. He loses like $5 grand. Like, it was just for the hell of it. I don't know what he really thought, maybe just a rush. Like maybe, I doubt he thought he could win, but it was like, all right, let me do this, just some fun, crazy shit that people might do in a midlife crisis. So after that, he's in New York, got a new crib. What do? You're a rich guy. You have a big party. So he invites a bunch of rich people over, and there, guess who steps in? My girl, Hellcat. That's right, Patsy Walker makes an appearance. I always love an appearance from Patsy Walker. If you follow me for a while, you actually saw in one of my hauls from earlier during the shutdown, I picked up Avengers 144, her first appearance, modern appearance, Patsy Walker as Hellcat, which I was happy to finally get. But here she is. She makes an appearance at this party, and they're just having a talk. He talks about a friendly face, and she makes a comment like, aren't all these people your friends? And he says, they like to think they are. So he asks her to step away, but before he does, he meets this new character, Fuller Tealhart, who he's like, all right, I know you're at this party, everybody's pitching you stuff, but I want to tell you about this. So he talks about this idea about capturing lightning, which I thought was kind of cool. So I'm curious to see where this goes. Like just that, as far as, especially in the Iron Man book, like, all right, you got technology and some cool, whatever you want to call this here. So he talks about capturing lightning, but then he ends up stepping away and he invites Patsy Walker down to his kind of basement garage type area. And she says, all right, if you do anything weird, I'll kick your ass. Which I thought was cool. Like, it's Patsy Walker. She could absolutely just destroy Iron, like Tony Stark. Not in his armor, but I mean, I don't know. That'd be an interesting fight. But if it was just Patsy Walker with Tony Stark, she's kicking his ass up and down New York, whatever. So that's where he actually shows off his armor. He got a cool little page there. And they kind of took a go out. He's like, you know what? I'm done with this. And he's like, hey, do you want to go out on a, he calls it a jaunt in New York? He got his new armor. Let's do it. She says, and she's actually dressed up. She got this yellow and blue dress. I'm like, oh, you know, it looks like her costume. But before he leaves, she mentions all of his guests there. And he says, don't worry, in this amount of time, an EMP is going to go off and destroy all of their electrical devices. So they just shut all that down. She says, oh, now we understand the guest list. So while they're out, they're just kind of just having this conversation, and he starts talking about it just kind of gets the vibe that, oh, he's struggling and he feels lost. And she just kind of talks about that and his identity. She makes some cool comments there. Again, I just like Patsy Walker. And I think Patsy Walker and Tony Stark, Iron Man, Hellcat makes an interesting combination. I feel like I haven't seen them just by themselves in a while. And if you read West Coast Avengers, like the way back, volume 1 of this, they were both members of that team. So I thought that was kind of a cool callback to that, to fans of that who might appreciate that, and just who might appreciate Patsy Walker appearance, as I do. So they're out, and then they're kind of sitting around, and she's making jokes, and it's kind of funny. But then they're just they sit up across from a library, and he notices a helicopter on the library. He's like, okay, that's kind of weird. It's nighttime. Why? So they see this character who is called the Unicorn. Now, I don't know if I've seen the Unicorn either in a while or just never have, but he's out, and then they get into his fight. It's a cool little fight for a couple pages, and it kind of ends, like they take him down, and it kind of ends with Iron Man taking this blast of lightning. Like, oh, all right. And then you get a shot of that Fuller character kind of staring through a window. I don't know if he's looking at them or if he's just kind of staring out the window, just all menacingly, because that's what people do. So, and then like half his face is like half of his, like his character's face and part of his body that's shown through the window. It kind of has this, I don't even know what you would call it, just kind of this almost stellar look to it. It's kind of black and like purple, almost energized. I want to say almost like Wonder Man in his ionic form, but just tweaked a little bit different. So that's that. And then get into it, like as far as the actual review, it does feel like part of it, like I don't know, maybe some of the midlife crisis stuff didn't quite, I don't know, midlife crisis, I put that in quotes because that could or could not be exactly what that is, but like it was okay kind of seeing stuff, the Fast and Furious, like the race stuff, like I don't really get like why, but that's just Tony Stark. Maybe it's about the speed thing, like all right, always kind of going mile a minute, and just like the racing aspect, the adrenaline perhaps. Now the T-Rex fight and Twitter stuff, they did one thing that I absolutely can't stand in comics. It's always the appearance of a villain, or it's either just some villain that people are aware of and you're like, all right, why are you here? Like, especially for T-Rex, who I feel is not a street level, he's not a grounded villain like that. So just having him pop up and he's just in a store, like they're just maybe fighting outside of the store or whatever it was, it just feels odd, it just feels off and a waste of the character. When you feel like, it just feels weird. So having him like that, and then the other part is, like I think Amazing Spider-Man did it, and what else? There was another book I just read where they did this, where it's either just some random alien attack or just some nameless monsters just appearing up just for the hell of it. It's almost like you just have to have somebody to fight. So it's like, all right, so you needed Tony Stark to fight somebody to shoot him in the space to destroy the satellite so you can have the Twitter moment. So that led into social media and comics, which I can't stand because it always just feels fucking corny. And it always just feels so forced, like, oh, we're in the modern age, it's how the technological age, everybody, like, social media is so huge. Oh, so let's put it in comics. Oh, look at this, Twitter. And they have this other site, which is Read It. So obviously it's like a play on Reddit. So you got both of these. Are obviously it wasn't officially Twitter because you can't do that because you're gonna get your ass sued. So it was basically like play on Twitter and Reddit. So I'm like, it always just strikes me as corny, and it just feels so forced. Like, oh, we're in this time, everybody's on Twitter, let's throw it in this comic. And it never vibes with me. It always just feels wrong. Again, it was the use of it, like how it was, or what was done with it was accurate. I just don't care for it in comics as much. Now, people's mileage might vary. I might be overblowing this. I'm just saying I don't particularly always care for it when used in comics. But visually, Cafu, Frank D'Armata, and I think it was a great team up. I also say, even though I haven't read that much I've read a bit of Iron Man from the original series. I read some of the Heroes Reborn with Jim Lee and a couple other series after that. I think this one is absolutely visual, like as far as tone, is definitely visually darker, which I think is a nice twist for Iron Man because isn't just something that you would see. Typically, because you think of Hot Rod Red and the Gold, maybe something a little more visually brighter. The last series I read, he had a black and gold armor, so that one was like a little different because it's a black suit. But I think this one, it's just a nice twist. So a nice touch. All right, so we're scaling back and put a darker visual glare to it. Like, okay, that's kind of interesting. So I dig that. And Cafu's storytelling, I think, was cool. Like just throughout this, especially the shots with him and Tony Stark and Patsy Walker from the party and into their costumes and fighting, I thought was cool. So I'm interested in seeing just how Christopher Cantwell and Cafu and Frank D'Armata kind of grow together as they go in the series. And I'm hoping it's not just something where, all right, you have this creative team and the writer sticks around for however many issues, but the artists are only on for, a handful, maybe like the first for the trade or whatever. So I hope they actually just stick around. And I just like seeing like creative teams stick together, like the same creative team stick together for a while and actually kind of grow and develop characters and stories together. We haven't seen like those long runs of like cohesive teams, just are kind of almost things of the past because artists are shuffled in and out and it just kind of sucks. And like readers don't get to kind of grow with the creative team almost. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but you all get the idea behind that comment. And then it does look cool, so I'm interested to see that. But now I'm curious to see what this Fuller character does. And then with Unicorn, the character that they fought, I like that touch in there because I'm not sure if I've ever seen him before, but I always like just kind of weird, unique villains just kind of pop up like, oh, okay, like who are they? And because it got me to look him up. I'm like, all right, who the hell is Unicorn? What can he do? Who is he? Where'd he come from? What do you want? So I wonder if he'll be back and just kind of, as you saw on the main cover here, a bunch of Iron Man villains are on there, including Guardsman, and I think there was Crimson Dynamo on there. But like, all right, so how are they gonna dig into the well of Iron Man's lesser known villains? And like, if they're scaling back, what does this mean? What's Fuller gonna do? What's this lightning technology gonna do? I don't know. I'm curious. So let me know what you thought if you read this book, and if you're an Iron Man fan, especially what you thought of this. So we got this Iron Man #1 relaunch. Now, why I wanted to pick this up and why I wanted to pick and show this off actually, because I already have this. If you saw my new Comic Book Day Blast video, I talked about this. I already have this issue coming. I have the Iron Man Timeless variant coming in my comic shop pre-order shipment, which will be arriving early next month. But I was like, you know what? I wanted this cover anyway. So I went to the shop and just grabbed it because I wanted both. I only pre-ordered the Timeless variant at the time. And I was like, oh, you know what? Let me talk about this one. I haven't done a video review of a comic ever. Only video reviews I've done on my channel were of action figures. I've done written reviews, but it's been a while. So like, all right, you know what? Let me do a review discussion. Time for a little Friday fun. Let's mix it up, have some fun, and talk about this. So far as a debut issue, I haven't done like grades or scoring on reviews, and forever I stopped doing that. I just like to do rundowns and let you know what I thought of it. So as an overall debut issue, I thought it was solid. The kind of the midlife crisis stuff was kind of hit or miss. The fights, like the Terex stuff, again, I don't know like why. Like Terex is like just isn't somebody you just throw in. Like I feel like there's places should have swapped like Terex and Unicorn if it was anything, because that one seemed to have more meaning as it leads into what we're like going to in next few issues. So all right, so what's Fuller gonna do with his lightning technology? And then you got Unicorn still in his book for who he says what they call the other. I don't know, it has to be connected because Tony got struck down by the lightning. It's like, all right, so what's gonna happen here? What's gonna happen in the future? What other characters are we gonna see? And there's also the breakup of Tony and Jan. Don't know where that even came from, but it was just kind of this one page thing. It just felt awkward. It was like, all right, so previously, it was like, so you're looking at it from the outside, like, okay, previously they had a relationship, but the creative team's like, we don't want to explore that at all. Like, we're just gonna dish it. So we just had this one page kind of shut down to that. Hey, I moved on. Yeah, I think that's for the best. All right, you take care, and it just separates, like, bye. But that's, I mean, kind of just how that goes when you have to kind of tie off loose ends from previous runs and previous stories. Like, all right, we don't want to use this character in this capacity, so we need to shut this off. And then they introduce Hellcat. So what are they gonna do with Patsy? Is she just gonna be, and she is gonna be in the second issue, I know that for sure, and don't know how far. So like, all right, we're gonna have this kind of team up run to start off the issue with, or start off this series, which I kind of dig, again, because I like Patsy. So, because Cafu has already shown off on Twitter, and either on Twitter or Instagram, some art from the next issue. So looking forward to that and just kind of seeing where this goes. But I just wanted to do a review and discussion of Iron Man #1 because it's been a while since I've done a review, and I figured, you know what, let's do it for some Friday fun. And I want to get some opinions and thoughts of what you all thought of this. And I wanted to have the discussion about some of the things that I liked in the issue and some of what I didn't like, and just kind of talk as far as story elements and then out of the actual storytelling, because I feel a lot of comic reviews are more just rundowns, like, all right, it's just really just a summary, and then people just might mention the creative team, and sometimes they don't even do that. So it's like, all right, if you want to review a comic, dude, you gotta talk about the story and the storytelling, the art, the visuals. Again, I think the darker tone is a nice touch, a nice twist on typical Iron Man stories, visual tone anyway. And you will notice throughout this video, like this random 4 digits. Like, all right, so what the hell are you doing? Is this a glitch? No, it's not a glitch in the armor. That is because I have 2 of these issues. I have a second one coming. That means I have a second digital code. So if you put those codes together, just go over to marvel.com/redeem. You will, if you put all those codes together, first person to do that will have a brand new copy of Iron Man #1 digital copy to read for themselves. Check out this debut relaunch issue and enjoy yourself. It's comics. Have some fun. So I want to do that. All right, again, for some Friday fun, review, discussion, and give away a brand new comic. So enjoy yourself. You don't have to spend the money. You got a free comic to check out. So hope you enjoyed it. Please don't redeem this issue if you already have it. Like, let somebody else do it. Somebody who, just hoping somebody who wants to check it out but just couldn't afford to buy it. So yeah, if you did that, go read that, enjoy yourselves, and let me know what you thought of it. So yeah, just let me know your thoughts and everything I mentioned today. Especially let me know your favorite armor. Again, the Bleeding Edge is absolutely the best. But I will take other people's opinions on that. So yeah, that's that. I hope everyone has a good weekend. Let me know what you're reading this weekend as well, what you're up to, what else you picked up, any cool deals, any cool Iron Man stuff since we're talking about Iron Man. Happy reading, happy hunting, happy collecting. This is GENOTHADRAGON. Thanks for watching, and peace out.